David Best is going to be, Professor David Best, the author of RECAP, is going to be joining us October 29th and 30th in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So for those of you in the southwestern Michigan or anywhere lower Michigan, you get a chance to listen and talk to David Best. That would be something I encourage that you do. I think that's really the only.
When is the registration for the conference this year, Jeff?
I'm sorry?
When is the open registration for the MARR conference in October?
Dave Sheridan said it should be out this week.
Okay. So highly recommend anyone that's planning on going. Hopefully you'll all be able to go. Hotel rooms where the event is at, there's always a short supply. So if you're going to be going, you'll want to make a reservation as soon as possible. Don't wait to the last minute. Otherwise, you'll find that you'll need to stay at a hotel at another location. It's always nice to be able to do it at where the event's taking place. So, all right. And Kelly is sick, can't talk very well, so she's on here. Hello, Kelly. She asked me to remind everyone, please focus on making sure that all of your residents have signed their own portal and they can sign the release for using their evaluation information. It's very important because we need this information when we're tracking the numbers for the state so they can see how well everyone's doing. And for the operators that are using RECAP right now, please be diligent in keeping their evaluations. Make sure that they are up to date when they're due. Don't wait till after their due date. It's really important that they get done by the due date. And those of you that, there's only a few, I guess, now that have not reached out to Kelly yet to do RECAP, please reach out to her. She's going to put her email in the chat, and so we could get you guys started. As the state is now pushing, they're going to be pushing the PIHPs to make it part of their contract, that any recovery residents that receives funding or has a contract needs to be doing RECAP as well. So please, please contact Kelly and get on board, because I'm not sure how long they'll give you to do that. I don't know if it's going to start in October or the 1st of January, but it's coming. And at this point, you just need to do the assessments with the person, which doesn't take long at all. And then what is it, Kelly, every 30 days or 45 days, 60 days, 90 days? Yeah, and then the residents can do that on their own too. So there's still the computer reimbursement for up to $300 per address. So that's been very helpful for operators, so they can have a computer for the residents to use at the address, at those addresses too, so they can add their own information. They can also do it from their phone, but we know not everybody has a phone. So having a computer at your residence can make it more simple. So most of the operators have been able to get computers under $300 for their homes, and then so we reimburse up to $300 per home. So that's a great benefit. So you guys will, more people will take advantage of that. So Wally, is your Wi-Fi working?
It is working.
Okay, do you have anything you'd like to share?
I really don't. I don't have anything new to offer this month.
Okay.
Keep getting on. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. Getting a lot of people into recovery and maintaining some sobriety. That's what it's all about.
Great. I wanted to talk about the operator of the month. This month, operator of the month is Recovery Services Unlimited. It sounds like I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I swear every time I go there, I think I could probably eat off the floor. And everything's just very clean and orderly, and we've got a great program taking place, and great structure in place for all the residents, and their homes always impress. Ian is on here from Rich Sober Living. I'm sorry, Recovery Services Unlimited. Could you talk a little bit about your program?
Yeah, we've been around since 2017. We opened up our first, this is before me, so before my time. I came in 2021, but I'll get to that. We opened up our first house in 2017 on Clay Street, and then in 2018 opened up our second house on Grant Street. In 2019, opened up the third house on Cherry Street, and then in 2021, opened up our outpatient building, and that's accredited by JCO. Myself, I came washed up on shore, quite literally, in Battle Creek in 2020, yeah, 2020, and my own personal story is one: I woke up in the hospital after 5 days of in the critical intensive care unit, and the nurse asked me if I thought I had a problem, and I said I don't know. And she said, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" And I said, "I don't know." And she said, "Have you thought about going to rehab?" And I said, "No, I haven't." "Do you think I should go to rehab?" And she said, "Yeah, you should probably go to rehab." So they set that up, and I went to Jim Gilmore in Kalamazoo. And from there, they asked me what I was about to do after that. And I was homeless at the time, and I didn't have any plans. And I said, "Well, what do you think I should do?" And they said, "Have you thought about sober living?" And I said, "What's that?" And they set me up with RSU, and that started my my adventure with RSU. And I graduated the program, and they asked me if I had ever thought about being a house manager. You can see there's a pattern going on here. The key to my success is I stopped thinking for myself after a lifetime of decision making unmarred by success up until this point. And I became a house manager, and I did that for 3 years. And just this year, they asked me to manage the housing program and the coaching program. So that is a brief history of RSU and a brief history of my involvement with RSU. And any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
How do you keep such a tight ship? So you got people coming and going a lot, and I noticed your homes are, again, there's a lot of structure taking place and expectations for your residents, but every room is clean, the dishes are clean, the floor is being mopped, everything's being done, the home's being maintained. How do you assure that all that stuff is taking place on top of everyone getting to the meetings and following the other expectations? Do you have anything particular in place that helps residents with that structure?
It is undoubtedly the house managers. I mean, the credit goes completely to them and the environment of recovery that they create. Without participants' buy-in or sense of community, a sense of being a part of something bigger than themselves, it doesn't matter how many chore lists you have or requirements you have or punitive, sort of consequences to not following the rules. I mean, we are people who have spent our entire lives bucking authority, and I mean, we will go to jail or die rather than change, right? So you really need to create an environment where the space becomes theirs, and they aren't just flopping for 90 days. I mean, of course, there are consequences to not doing chores and so on and so forth. But my own experience as a house manager, I can count on one hand and have fingers left over the number of times I've written somebody up. A conversation will usually be sufficient to be corrective, right? I mean, one of the special things that we have, and I think is necessary, is having a full-time house manager on site. right? You can't just have somebody dipping in and checking to make sure the place isn't a trap house, right? You need somebody who is invested in the program and invested in their own recovery and invested in the recovery of the participants, right? But a conversation usually suffices to solicit change, right? You know, something as simple as what's going on with you, man? And opening up that dialogue and actually caring, you know, will get somebody to do something rather than if you don't do X, Y is going to happen.
Anyone have any questions for Ian? You guys are level 3, correct, Ian?
Yes. So we also have recovery coaches. That is kind of an integral part of our program. Participants are required to see their recovery coach twice a week. Up until, and it was a response to a need in the community. We now offer outpatient therapy, and they're not required to do it with us, but they're required to see a therapist as well. You know, so those sort of supportive, the house, the support of a recovery coach, and then of course, you know, the support of a therapist. Those three things come together to produce results.
Well, you have a wonderful program. Thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank
and
you.
as always represent, and
I for one
it's a pleasure.
am delighted that to be recognized by you guys. And it is a personal achievement for me because it's a first for us. And to be recognized by you guys on my watch is, I mean, it's a feather I can put in my cap. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. Any questions for Ian at all before I move on? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Reach out to Brandy and tell her thank you as well, and keep up the
She
great
was
work.
delighted.
Kayla, do you have anything you'd like to talk about today?
I would. First things first, we are having, I know I've touched on it a bit before, but we are having issues with insurance still. So I wanted to take a little bit of time to show you guys what we actually require. I know a lot of you guys know, but there's some of people that still don't know and still have questions every year about what we require, why we require it, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to share my screen real quick. All right, so this is the document that MARR requires. I know a lot of people try to submit their whole insurance, and that can be like 69 to 100 pages. The certificate of liability insurance is the only document that we require. It'll have your expiration date on it. It'll have the name of your insurance company, the name of your program. Right here is where your addresses are listed. So that can be confusing too, because a lot of people are like, well, where do you get my addresses then? This is where they're always listed. If anything,
Sometimes
they're on one
sometimes they're on the
separate
second
additional.
page.
Okay, I'm just getting to that. If anything, they're on one additional page with all of your addresses listed. So those are the two documents that we require. Most of the time they list them right here. If anything, they're on a separate page. We also have to be listed as additional insured. MARR is always listed as additional insured in case you get sued. MARR can take the fall for some things. So we always have to cover ourselves as well. When we are additionally insured, our name and address is listed right here under certificate holder. This is where our full name and our address needs to be. So that just shows that we have a copy of your certificate. We are additionally insured. So this is the document that we require. Does anybody have any questions about why they have to be insured, anything about this document, anything like that at all? I have been trying to send it, in my like annual emails to you guys, like once you're officially certified. I try to add in a couple of helpful documents in there, just as kind of like a reminder of what we require. But other than that, that is all. So let me get share my screen. Oop.
For those that actually contract with a PIHP, that's the same form you would send to your contract with. They want to see proof of insurance that it's updated every year. In that box at the bottom where it will say MARR, there will be a copy. A lot of insurance carriers will make a separate page, and so that like community mental health of Washington, for example, they'll be listed on the bottom. They'll have their address. They'll have the PIHP that you contract with listed as additional insured, and their box will be down there. You or contract with several different entities. You may have a certificate sheet like that for insurance that shows each separate address for each separate entity that needs to be additional insured. That's just one page. So
One more thing, and I'm gonna see if I can actually share my screen for this too. Okay, another thing here, let me share my screen. So I added an example to my own account so I can show you guys. Another thing that we have been having issues with, I know a lot of people don't like to pay by card, whether they're adding a residence, whether they're paying the renewal fees. Some people just like to pay with check or money order. That's completely fine. To get that approved right away, we need to show proof that you actually paid. If you don't want to wait for the mail, which can take a little bit of time, sometimes it's gotten lost. Sometimes the wrong address is put in there and it doesn't actually get to us. If you actually show us your proof of payment, we can just completely skyrocket the process of getting whatever you're trying to do approved. So, like I just added an additional payment section. When you're trying to pay, like you're trying to pay $300, $300 on there. All you have to do is click third party payment. If you're not actually paying by card, then you don't need to just click pay fee. You can click third party payment, let us know that you actually paid. And then there's after you pay fee, I can't go to it because I'm not actually paying, but there's a little button at the bottom where you can upload a document. So if you can take a picture of your check, or if you have like proof of payment in your bank account, if you can take a picture of that, upload it to the proof of payment button, that's what we need. So does anyone have questions about that? I know that can be kind of confusing. I don't even know if it'll let me. Pay fee, card, yeah. Yeah, it might just be.
most people do pay on there because it makes it
Yeah.
more simple.
Most people
We get a
do, but
fee.
it probably doesn't have it for the additional payment, but for your actual like application, upload evidence of payment. That's what I'm looking for. So before you actually pay your fee, there's an upload evidence of payment button here at the bottom. So that's all I got for you there. If anyone has any questions, let me know. But yeah, those are mainly the two topics I wanted to touch on. I know it's easier to kind of see it in person. Sometimes it's hard. Someone's describing something to you, you still don't know what they mean. I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of show you guys. If there's anything on Certimi at all or with the certification process that ever feels confusing, I'm definitely more than able to schedule a one-on-one Zoom meeting with any of you guys. I can share my screen and show you exactly how to do things. I know a lot of you, there are some new people on here, but a lot of you have been through the ringer a few times, so you know what to do and how to do it, and I appreciate you guys. But any new people on here, I'm more than happy to schedule a Zoom meeting with you guys. So Oh,
Catherine, before you go on to others and ask about whether there are any questions, I recall that I wanted to add a couple other things. One is that we're going to try, MARR is going to make more of an effort to have random pop-ins. And to that end, we've hired Michael Puckett and Glynis Anderson of Home of New Vision. Michael is a Wayne State student, I think, at the present time, to come in and do pop-ins. So if that occurs, again, the MARR requirements is that they be allowed into the residence. They'll have identification with them, but there will be occasions where they're just going to show up and knock on the door and ask to be allowed in. And so that's something that I would suggest that you talk to your house managers and residents about. That if somebody shows up, whether it's Catherine or Michael or Glennis or even me, if I show a badge, a certification that we're with MARR, that they be allowed in. So that's one thing. The second part is I'm asking for, on behalf of the operators, for some funding for peer recovery coaching to be added to the support services, the paid support services that you folks are offering. And that is something that I am suggesting that 3.5 hours a week at $22 an hour probably makes sense. And the third item that I wanted to talk to you about, we're also asking, again, this is the opioid litigation settlement funding. We're asking them for funding to replicate what they've done in Virginia, where they took a cohort of residents that were African American ladies between the ages of 19 to 39 and offer them essentially more support services like transportation, job skill training, a real minimal amount of carrying around cash every week. It's like $60 a week that they can use to pay for personal items, etc. And that's had the impact in Virginia of really increasing the retention rates of the Black female population between 20 and 40 years old. And so we're asking for the same thing, and that would be done on some type of a pilot basis for the resident operators that have African American women between the ages of 19 and 39. So that might come out. It'll probably come out 6 months from now, but we're asking for that. And that's all I had on my additional items that I forgot to tell you first. Sorry.
Thank you, Jeff. And MARR, that's what we do. We advocate for you guys, and because we know what it's like to run sober living homes. It's not cheap. You don't do it to make you rich. You do it because you care. And there needs to be more assistance in that area. So thank you, Jeff. Yeah, you spent days writing out a 11-page report on why we need this money and who it needs to go to, and so you have other people advocating for you as well. So yeah. So like you said, we are doing pop-ins. We're doing more pop-ins. Michael Puckett will be primarily doing the pop-ins for the most part. And some of you have already seen him. He did go to one of the homes. He was able to go to two, but one of the homes he went to for the same organization, the guy would not let him in. And I spoke with the operator afterwards to let her know, that we were there and everything. And the guy told her, I guess, that he didn't know who he was. Maybe he was going to rob the place, or it could be an ex-resident, just saying he's with MARR, so whatever. But Kayla, we used to have a posting. There was a picture like of a MARR badge with a little smiley face on it, reminding people to, when a MARR operator or a MARR worker comes to your door, you need to let them in. You still have
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
on
it's
there that you
somewhere.
can share? Sometimes I still see it posted at some of the homes, which is great, but it's a good reminder. And if you could remind the residents, again, like what Jeff said, when we show up and we have a badge, they need to let us in. Nobody needs to walk around with us, show us around. We're basically want to make sure that, you know, the homes are maintaining the standards. People aren't just sitting around drinking and you know, the homes are trashed and stuff. We want to make sure that everything is looking good. And so far, everything's been great. So
Yeah,
and
I'll try
site
to find that
visits.
and I'll just add it to my post-meeting follow-up email.
Perfect,
So just keep an eye out for that.
perfect. So site visits over the last couple years, I had hired some contractors to actually assist with some of the visits. And those couple contractors aren't with us anymore. But some of the homes that I've been going to that I haven't seen myself personally in a while, I've just been kind of disappointed. I want to be honest. I just was really shocked to see how some of them were. And they were not representing our standards at all. And I was kind of embarrassed. But I wanted to let you know that moving forward, we're doing site reviews, and I am going to be going to every site review now with a contractor until I've seen every home myself personally, because I want to make sure that everyone understands what the expectations are, and I want to see how the operators are doing. And I just, and please do your best. You know, even though you don't know even whether you know we're coming or not, the home should always be representing, always have structure going on, expectations for your residents. The home should be clean and maintained. It's just really important. It's all part of the structure. It's all part of the program. So please make sure that you're keeping up on that. It's very important. It's a big part of their recovery is accountability. So, and I like how he said that, you know, we need somebody who's invested, you know, to have somebody who has, and had mentioned this, you know, to have somebody in the home daily that can actually see what's going on and is invested in how the participants or your residents are doing. And hey, what's going on with you today? How's your job search going? Somebody that can keep up with them, you know, and know how things are going in your homes. So we should all have something like that in place. The homes don't run themselves. They got to have somebody there to make sure there's accountability. Right. The pop-ins. A few months ago, Kayla and I talked about we're going to label the homes. So like if your home has, your operation has single family homes or apartments or the congregate sites or whatever living environment you provide, we now put this on the website. So when Kayla, can you share a screen?
Yeah, I'm trying.
So if on the MARR website, if your home, your operation has an A by it, it means that you provide single family housing or duplex living environment. If it says B by it, B is apartment setting. If it says C by your organizational name, it's your congregate or style, more institutional, very large building. Some of the operators may have A, B, and C right next to your operation name. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to, after the meeting, or when you have time, please go to the MARR site and look to see what we have by your organizational name, just to make sure it's correct. Okay, and if it's incorrect, please reach out to myself or Kayla and let us know, hey, it's incorrect, it should be this, it should be that. Okay, so it's important that the residents know what they're getting into. You know, maybe they don't want to live in an apartment, maybe they want to live in a single family home, maybe they don't want to live in a dorm style setting. So it's important that they be able to go to another organization and see that, well, I want to live in a single family home, and they'll call them instead. So I think it's important that they know what type of living environment they're going to. Does anyone have any questions about that? As you can see, it says housing type on there. So go to your recovery residence organization and look at your housing type and make sure that it's correct. Again, if it needs to be changed, please reach out and let us know, and we'll go ahead and change that. No questions? Nothing? All right. Well, this meeting is for you guys. So please, somebody, I know Kayla sent out something saying, hey, be prepared. If you have anything you'd like to share, anything going on with your organization, any issues that you're having that we can all discuss as a group, please somebody speak up. And
I have a few questions. I don't see anywhere to raise my hand, so
Oh, that's
I just-
fine.
okay, Sean, where are you from?
I am owner of the Eastland Recovery Home in Roseville, Macomb County, Michigan.
Can you show your face? Camera
If
work?
I can figure out how to. Think I go here, maybe.
There
That
you
do
go.
Did that do
You
it?
got it. You
Okay.
got it.
All right, because like I can't even find myself when I'm looking through the participants, and I signed in twice, but it doesn't say my name, so I'm here. But I had a question. So on these pop-ins, did I hear that the people conducting them own their own houses or work for a separate recovery house?
No, no. The contractors, Michael Puckett, does not have any interest in any recovery house. And Glennis Anderson will not be doing any pop-ins until after January 1st. And then she will be a contractor with MARR, but she will no longer be involved in the running the day-to-day operations of Home of New Vision. And that's where we were so glad to get Glennis to come with us. From
Yeah,
Home of
I
New
mean, that could be a
no,
real
none of the people at NAR run any recovery residence.
okay.
Yeah.
And then what happens if you do a, pop in visit and no one's at the home?
And they can't go in.
Okay, I just, I
But
didn't know.
what I've been typically doing is I'll give the contractor a couple addresses. Like I just want them to, depending. They went to a larger organization last week, so I gave them 3 addresses. So just go to 2 of them, but just in case couldn't get into one or there was nobody at the one location, then he had 2 to go to. So, and the one, there was one at each address, but the 3rd address wouldn't let him in. So, yeah, if there's nobody home, there's nobody home, but that's okay. But I'll always reach out to the operator that same day and say, hey, just wanted to let you know, we did a pop in at this address and this address, and this is what's going on, or, there were no concerns, just wanted to let you know, great job, So it's very quick. It's not like a regular scheduled site review where it's more detailed and somebody's got to walk around with us and show us everything. We're basically going in just to make sure that the home is running how it's expected to run. We may show up on the weekend. Pop-in may take place on a Saturday or Sunday, and that's okay. Everybody should be doing what they're supposed to do no matter what day or time it is. So that makes sense?
Yeah.
John, to answer your question, if somebody is not there at your home, but you're the operator, you may get a phone call. And the phone call might be from the person doing the site visit saying, hey, can you come in, let me in? If you can't, you can't. And if nobody's there, then nobody's there, and that pop-in didn't work that day.
Okay, yeah, no, I mean, I'm all for it. These have been needed to be done for quite a while. I just, was making sure that people that are doing it don't own their own homes, because that could be a huge conflict of interest.
Exactly. That we made that decision about 6 years ago when we started MARR. It's like, no, we're not going to run any ability of somebody saying, oh, you run a recovery home. That
Yeah,
would be a clear conflict of interest.
yeah, I mean, I started running my recovery homes 15 years ago. I only own two of them. But I guess one of my main concerns is that there's now been an increase in the certification we have to purchase while the reimbursement has now been cut. And I don't know if you guys can speak to that and why that is happening. Because you live in the same country that I do, and all bills are drastically increasing. And to have, any reimbursement or funding cut is gonna hurt all these programs.
Sure.
What area are you at, Sean?
I'm in
What
Macomb
region?
County.
Oh,
Macomb.
PH, is that region
It's Macosa.
6? What, what PHP, what region?
I do not know.
I can look real quick.
What was the amount of the decrease in funding, Sean?
So I was informed that the certification for the MARR certification has gone up, but
Correct.
It
Macosa,
will be. It is not yet.
who has been reimbursing us for that, has decided to no longer reimburse us for that. And I'm just trying to figure out, how we're supposed to continue doing what we're doing when all the bills are going up and we're having reimbursements cut. And then what are we getting out of being part of MARR?
It's region 9, by the way.
Okay.
Jeff?
I was unaware that they cut that cost or that reimbursement. Is your daily rate remain the same? They haven't bundled it in something else, right?
No, our daily rate has remained the same for over 3 years now. And, we're trying to get them to increase that because again, all the bills keep going up. But the
Yeah.
payments are staying the exact same.
What is your daily rate in that region?
Our weekly rate is 135.
Okay.
So like 28 or something a day.
Yeah.
And again, I'm small. I only own 2 houses. I have a total of 17 beds, and 4 of those beds are for the house monitors and then the house reporters.
Sean, do you know what funding source that they were reimbursing you out of? That could be why it was cut. Like if it was or grant funds or ARPA or.
It was through Community of Mental Health. I don't know exactly what funding source through Macosa. But we just literally got this information this week.
Because the COVID block grant, I believe, is ending September. So that could have been one thing that they were reimbursing you out of, but there's ARPA and PA2. And so I just wanted to give you a reason why.
That's what I was wondering too, Catherine, is it
Sure.
could really be contingent upon the funding source.
Oh, Sherry, I didn't realize you were. Yeah, Sherry's PHP too, so she's a SUD director, great one to talk to.
But then why is the certification doubling?
It doesn't double. It went from 300 to 500 effective January 1st.
Well,
And
those
that
who are
the reason for
grandfathered
the-
in though paid a lower
Yeah.
rate.
Yeah. So that increase to that rate is reflective of the fact that all of the expenses have gone up,
Yeah.
gas and everything else.
Yeah.
And it does not come close to covering the cost of operating MARR. MARR is say 90% reliant upon states funding. By comparison, I know Capris will charge you something over $10,000. All of the other certification alternatives that don't exist in the state of Michigan, they're all going to be about $7,500 and on up. So for 500, whether it's $300 or $500, it is much less than what the true cost is and what the cost of other certifying agencies do. And we're relying upon state funding just like you.
Yeah,
Having said all of this, I'm going to make a point of reaching out to Region 9 and asking for and advocating for their continuation of the reimbursement so that the cost of going into MARR is $0.
okay.
In
I
terms of
appreciate
what
that.
you get for MARR certification, I can tell you that for the next hour, but I think I'm going to bore everybody on the phone
Yeah,
calls.
no, and I don't need that full, but I guess, I've been doing this for 15 years now. And my concern is, I opened these houses when I only had 2 years of recovery myself, but I opened them because they were called 3-quarter houses at the time. There was no oversight, there was none of that, and everyone was just being taken advantage of. And so we opened our first house. We had no state funding, no county funding, no nothing. We basically lost money. And then when Makosa came into the picture and we had a bunch of focus groups and we came up with the 3 top priorities: housing, peer recovery coaches, and transportation, it really started working out well. But my concern is what's going to happen is going to be similar to what happened in the 90s, where the government again got so involved and it just created so much redundant bureaucracy that people just pulled out of it. And then it leaves people either stuck in these very rigid models or stuck in these houses that have no oversight. And so, the more that the state gets involved, the more likely it is a lot of the houses, that are private are going to pull away from that. But then the ones that stay with it are going to just become all about doing paperwork, making sure that rules are followed, and have absolutely nothing to do with the recovery process. It's like the pendulum swinging back to that direction.
I'd just make one point and I'll end it. There's a difference between dealing with the state or local governmental entities. I used to be a governmental lawyer, so I'm aware of all of the problems you have to go through. It's like the old joke is good news and bad news. We're from the federal government. We're here to help you. And the bad news is we're here to help you because everything you got to fill out all the dots, right? So, but recovery residences are protected under the Federal Fair Housing Act and the Americans with Disabilities Act. So that's why we've got MARR acting as a quasi-governmental entity coming in. And that's throughout the United States. There's 37 other states that have basically the same model as Michigan has. And that will be growing. It'll be 49 or 50 states by 2 more years from now. And that allows MARR to run with people that are very experienced operators, like Catherine O'Hare, like Glennis Anderson. The people that we have are not from the municipality, state governmental, bureaucratic world. They're from our world. So I feel like we are the subject matter experts. You are the subject matter experts. You've been doing it for 15 years, right? So I don't think it's going to have the same problems that you would inquire if you said, oh, here's $500,000, but you're going to have it audited, and you're going to need to have hire 2 CPA firms and give me an audit, and you have to do this and this and this and this. We're trying to do things in the most rational, practical, cheapest, best way for all of you folks. And if you want to read something that really opened my eyes, read the Fletcher Groups, which is on the MARR website. There's a Fletcher Group, which is a nonprofit out of Kentucky. We had 2 PhD individuals, ladies, come in and they did a survey, and they had comments back from operators here in Michigan, some people that are on this phone call. And there's a real common complaint, a common thread that brings us all together, which is we're underpaid. We're doing it not for profit. We're doing it because we want to help other people. And there is a lack of funding for historically, most of the funding's gone to treatment. We're now asking for some of it to come to recovery because that's the missing step. And that, and recovery homes have now been, as a result of MARR advocacy, which MARR is a principal player at that level. The Association of Addiction Medicine, ASAM, has included for the very first time, roughly 3 months ago, recovery housing as a separate billable recovery support. That means that the next step is you go take it to the Blues and the bigger insurance companies and take it to Medicare and Medicaid and say, okay, I'm going to bill for stay at a recovery housing. It's not going to be whatever the $20 is or the $28 is. It's going to be reflective of what your actual cost is, which are probably about $40 to $50 a night, bed night per person. If you had that, you probably could operate a business and pay yourself a little bit of money. And that's thousands times cheaper than putting somebody in a hospital bed or in a treatment center. And it literally has been the missing piece because you have so many people going through treatment, coming out of treatment, revolving door, going back into treatment, et cetera, et cetera. They need that additional time frame, that additional 6 months, 12, 18, 24 months, whatever it is, in a person's lifetime so that they don't relapse and return to use.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Recovery houses are just a continuance of their treatment, as it's just like any other medical condition where somebody has to constantly come back for services from their provider. But thank you. I don't want to take up the rest of the time, so thank you for answering me.
No problem. Enjoyed the conversation, John.
No.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
Sean.
you bringing that up, Sean. It's a common concern for most of the residents, most of the operators. There had to be a way back in the day to distinguish the good operators from the bad operators. My late husband, Kevin O'Hare, was one of the advocates as well. He went to Washington many times on his own dime to fight for funding for recovery residences, and it finally came through many years later. But we wanted to make sure too that the operators that get that funding are certified and not being looked at by the state. They're being looked at by peers, other individuals that have been there, done that, have run recovery residences. We want to be able to oversee each other's operation and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. But we want to make sure that the certified operators are the ones that get the funding, not the ones that aren't certified and aren't doing what they're supposed to do. So that like Jeff said, he's going to reach out and see what's going on with that. And you're actually getting $19.29 a bed day, which is very low. So we've been advocating as well for more consistency throughout the state to see that rate raised to at least $30 a bed day, and up. If you're level 3, level 4 should be higher than that. But we are advocating. And please let us know if anything changes from that, Sean. Does anyone have any other questions? Anything they'd like to talk about? Crystal?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Crystal with A Mother's Touch for single moms, sober living. In listening to the conversation, and thank you both for all of that, Jeff, I heard you mention a few things like Association of Addiction Medicine, and I want to go on and read their information. However, in listening to Ian, what kept popping up in my mind was how we are providing that prevention service, right? It's like a continuum of care prevention service. Now, I previously reached out because I wanted to see if we could get the substance use prevention license. And I was told we didn't qualify for that they do not give that to any recovery residences, right?
Correct. Can't be
Okay.
licensed.
Okay, and so that was something that came up out of the dialogue that was happening. And then I heard about reimbursement, and sometimes I really feel like either I'm out of the loop somewhere or I'm missing something, because I was told we couldn't get reimbursed either. I've never gotten reimbursed, right? For the application, you know, to the application to remain a MARR resident, you know.
That's why every entity, every PIHP is doing something different.
Okay,
Or CMH, there's really no one saying you have to all do the same thing. There's some
Well-
PIHPs that are reimbursing, and there's some PIHPs like Network 180, the region you're in, they've never reimbursed,
Okay.
that I'm aware of either. So some are doing it, some aren't.
but that also leads me to, and again, I don't know, I'm feeling like I'm missing something, or I don't know, maybe one of you guys can kind of help me out here. Because also what we are not getting in our program, they are not assisting us with paying that daily rate or whatever rate, you know, that I know that they do for some other recovery residences in this area. And I'm like, you know, so say for instance, if we have a mom coming to our program and she's coming directly out of treatment, we're using services like we might use FAN, which help for 2 weeks, or then they have to call the churches to help support them until they can get that job to get on their feet. You know, we don't get that through our PIHP, you know, and so I don't know. Am I missing a key player that I may need to connect with? Because I don't mind having conversation. I just,
Network one,
Let
Network
me
180.
respond to you for a minute, Crystal. One thing is that, as Catherine pointed out, each PIHP, and there's 10 of them, 11 of them in the state of Michigan, they have their own rules as to whether they're going to reimburse you for the MARR payment. And I've personally been to their PHP, had meetings 3 times asking them for some type of standardization and that they all do this. And I've not been successful. The other thing is on your issue about trying to get funding from prevention, they divide it into 3 big buckets. When I say they, your funding sources divide into 3 big buckets. One is prevention, and that is before use. Then the one is treatment, and that's dealing with somebody who's in use and you're trying to get them to stop. Then the third bucket is recovery. So the people that have recovery homes don't fit into the prevention bucket. And I'm not the guy who made up the buckets, okay? But so we're constrained to the recovery bucket. And I'm trying to get more money diverted to the recovery bucket because it's needed. One of the things, if you ever have any opportunity to discuss this with your local funding agencies or your politicians or really anybody, one of the Fletcher the economic calculator showed that for every dollar of state or federal funding put into Michigan for recovery related services, like what everybody does here, the return on investment is more than $75 to the $1 invested. Over $75 to the $1 invested. That is the easiest sell you can ever make to the state agency folks. And that's why at the head level of the state agency, they're 100%, 110% behind recovery residences and what we do. And it's going to take some time. I remember not that long ago, 10 years ago, there was no association of recovery residences. There's little or no funding. Now it's a new era in recovery science. There's so much science that goes into it that says, you know what, this really works. This is, not only does it really work, it has a success rate of 75% of the people walking in the door of a recovery house that is supplied with the MARR certified under the social model of recovery, with the wellness recovery plans, and that you're doing all of the right things, that 75% of those people are going to maintain sobriety after 60 days after graduation from your program. That is so much better than the success rate measured in terms of sobriety 30 days after of the people that just get treatment. The people that just get treatment, 1 in 20, repeat that, 1 in 20 maintain sobriety. That's why it was so important to have the continuum of care, to increase that, just to give support to the people for a longer length of time. And the psychologists will tell you why that is. But I know what the results are because I've got the Fletcher Group economic calculator and the economic landscape, the recovery landscape for the state of Michigan, that shows us this is exactly what it is in the state of Michigan. Thank you. And it's on our website, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's on our website under statistics. All of the Fletcher Group documents that he referenced are there. But I can add them all to my post-meeting follow-up email since we talked about it today. I'll just add them all there so you can go through
Thanks,
it
Kayla.
because it is several pages. But
Yeah.
I'd like to make a couple of comments. I know we're running out of time. Sean, just in response to one of the things you said, I mean, every person who works at MARR is a recovery advocate. Every single one of us. That's our primary reason, for being here, and that's primary to what we do. And Crystal, I mean, the way this thing works, the money comes from the state to the PIHPs, the PIHPs distribute it to the CMHs, okay? There's no direction from the state, and there's virtually no direction from PIHPs to the CMHs in terms of how to spend that money or where to spend it. Okay, which means that in your region, you need to become an advocate for yourself too. That doesn't mean we're not working for you. We definitely are at so many levels. But you need to and you ask who? You have the manager if you get your money from Network 180, for example, the contract manager there, your clinical coordinator, you need to make friends with those people, and you need to talk to them, and you need to let them know what you do and what you're doing and what your needs are. But that's the way the money trickles down. And I know I've talked to, like Jeff, I've talked to PIHPs who just told me that they send the money from them down to the CMHs, but they have absolutely no control over what the CMHs do with the money. So it's just it's incumbent on you to develop those relationships with your CMHs and with your PIHPs, and be able to talk to them and let them know what your needs are and that. And I'm sure that we will continue to work for you as best we possibly can.
Yeah.
That's
you.
it. But I want everybody to understand that we are, we are advocates. We are recovery advocates. I worked in treatment for a little over 40 years. And this is the thing that was missing from what we did. I mean, we had people for 28 or 30 days, and there was no place for them to go after that. Yeah, there were halfway houses sometimes, but not very many of them. But recovery housing is really the need that has always been there.
Yeah.
And it fills such a tremendous really hole in the system, to be honest with you, in what you guys are doing. So please advocate for yourselves and to be proud of what you're doing, and take some of that responsibility too.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And no, MARR has been extremely helpful for me on many different levels. I am going to go and find out the contract manager and the clinical manager, because again, I'm not afraid to have those conversations. But yeah, I think they're missing something that we have that the community needs to know about and be supported with. So thank you for reminding me to take a call to advocate for myself.
Okay, you're welcome.
And real
Take
quick,
the evidence
Crystal,
with you, Crystal. Take the evidence with you. Take the Fletcher Group economic analysis and say, you know, guys, for every dollar that you spend, you get $75 back.
Okay, I definitely will. Thank
but
you.
I know that CMH, Network 180 CMH, in the past, what they did is they had to authorize the individual to come to your home, which had to come from treatment. If the individual doesn't come from treatment and is not authorized by them, they won't fund them. So again, that's how they do it. Everyone's a little bit different, but thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for your input and
Yeah, we're sorry if we didn't get to some of your topics. I know everyone was asked to come prepared, but bring those topics to our next meetings because we're always going to want to hear them. We love conversations like this. We encourage conversations like this because everybody learns a lot. And it's great to see people collaborate and talk about each other's stories and give their own opinions. So
got the Facebook forum as well, the operator page, please share stuff on there. We can get a discussion going as well. So, or please feel free to reach out to any one of us. We'd be happy to talk. So thank you, everybody. See you next month.
thank you. Thank you for everything you do.
Bye.